Hi everybody, today we're going to show you how to make a prime rib roast. And this is an expensive cut of meat, so we're going to show you how to do it right. You may be asking yourself, why is a Chinese guy showing me how to make a prime rib roast? There's lots of recipes out there. My father used to work as a roast cook up in Grossinger's resorts. For those of you who don't know, Grossinger's was the resort up in the Catskills in the day when I was a teenager. My father was a roast cook there and cooked hundreds, if not thousands, of prime rib servings for droves of New York City guests who went up there for a holiday weekend or just to enjoy themselves and enjoy the Catskill Mountains fresh air. I had the opportunity to visit him in the kitchen one day. I forget what it was. I had to bring him something. I could see those ovens. They're walk-in ovens, rotating with prime rib racks. I was just amazed. So this is that recipe. This prime rib has a beautiful herb crust, nice and salty, and it's juicy on the inside. And we love this prime rib roast recipe, and so do our readers. Just check out the comments. Oh.
I have a comment right here.
What is it?
This is from Carrie from last year. This is by far the best prime rib recipe I have found. I've tried quite a few others, including my own concoctions. The crust is amazing. The tenderness and flavor of the beef is always superb. This will be my 4th year using this recipe with no substitutions. My search is finally over. Thank you for sharing your father's secrets. This is indeed a winning recipe. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. There you go. Make this prime rib roast. We're going to show you how. A couple of tips on buying your prime rib roast, right? So we buy ours either from the grocery store or from Costco. You can ask for help from the butcher, and sometimes they'll cut you a larger roast, help you select whether it's a first cut or a second cut. This prime rib roast is from Costco. It says beef rib roast, bone-in, standing rib, USDA Choice. So there are 2 grades in general of prime rib roasts. There's USDA Choice, which is what we have here, and USDA Prime. USDA Choice is a little bit less expensive, a little bit less marbling or fat. Prime is better. What we usually do is we peruse through all of the USDA Choice ones, and sometimes you can find a borderline roast where, because the butchers actually grade them, you may find that a USDA Choice that has been kind of like on the borderline to prime, it could have been graded as prime, and that's what you're looking for. And I recommend that you get a bone-in roast because it cooks up nicer, it's juicier, especially if you like a medium rare to a rare roast. This will cook slower. A boneless roast will cook much faster. You have to reduce the time. So now I'm going to unwrap it, give you a look-see at what we bought here. So the price per pound on this is $14.59. Prices vary. It's actually not a bad price, but you know, this roast is about 9 pounds. It's 129 bucks. So you want to cook this right. You could see that the butcher has already trimmed the fat off of it and left a little fat cap. And in fact, they trimmed a little bit too much here, exposing the meat. You actually want a nice fat cap, a thin fat cap on here that'll meld into the roast and baste it while it's cooking. Sometimes there'll be a lot of thick fat. You can trim that fat off. You really don't want exposed meat like you have here because this might get scorched. If it's a little bit thicker, you might want to trim it. So a word about the size of the roast. In general, you want about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds per person. It might sound like a lot, but the worst thing is if you don't have enough. So if you have more left over, you're going to have sandwiches the next day, you're happy. But if the day you don't have enough, you got some big meat eaters, and you don't have enough prime rib, it's a little embarrassing. So make sure you have enough. 1, 2, 3, 4 bones. It's about 2 servings per bone, which is right. This is a 9-pound roast. It should serve about 8 people, maybe a little extra. So that's okay. So if you have a boneless roast and you decide to use that, then it's less pound per person because you don't have the bone, right? So it's about like 1.5 pounds should be fine. But remember on the boneless roast, it's gonna take less time to roast and you gotta watch it more because the bones actually protect the roast and allow it to cook slower. A boneless roast will cook faster. And the last thing you wanna do, and I've done it before, is overcook a roast. Prime rib is best had medium rare, trust me, and that's the way we like it, and that's what this recipe is geared towards.
Perfect.
Okay.
Now let's cut some herbs.
Okay. It's a simple marinade ingredients. We've got rosemary, we've got thyme, garlic, salt, pepper, olive oil. That's it. Fresh rosemary usually comes like in little stalks like that. And you just kind of take this off and you get the idea, and you get this. Finely chop it. So what we have is a 9-pound roast. What our recipe says is to use 1 teaspoon of rosemary per pound. So that means we need 9 teaspoons. May sound like a lot, but this crust is going to be super flavorful. Okay, 9 teaspoons. Next we've got the thyme, and this is already very small. I'm just going to do it like just a rough chop on this. This is the same as the rosemary, 1 teaspoon per pound. And again, we like to use the fresh herbs. So for measuring herbs, you basically want to get it kind of flat. 1 teaspoon per pound of garlic as well. So very easy to remember. 1 teaspoon, 111 of rosemary, garlic, and thyme. Using a garlic press is nice because you get uniform bits and pieces. I'm just going to keep pressing and measure it after. Okay. That's our garlic. Again, you want to flatten this out. That's 1, 8. Wow. How often does that happen? 1 teaspoon sea salt per pound. 9 teaspoons, because we got 9 pounds. You got to have faith here. Sounds like a lot, and it is, but it's going to work.
That's not enough.
9. So next thing, 1/2 teaspoon freshly ground pepper per pound. So I'm going to ground 4.5 teaspoons. I'm going to measure it out. Slowing down here. I'm slowing down, but you know what? We're doing our best. I need one of those electric ones where you press the button and it goes, and it grinds. 3. Okay, back to the grinder.
Back to the grind.
Back to the grind, her. All right, we're looking for 1.5 teaspoons more. That's 1.5. All right. For olive oil, 1/2 teaspoon olive oil per pound. All right, that's your marinade. So I'm just going to use this teaspoon to mix it. Sort of a paste here, you could see. Oh boy, does it smell good. All right, we're going to get to ready to rub this roast. I like to rub the bottom first, so we're going to turn it over. And this is all you do. Just rub this paste and salt all over on the bone. Make sure you get both sides really nice. Look at that, beautiful. Get some on the bone here. Okay. This is the beauty side. Look how big that is. Nice. Okay. All this is going to soak in the flavor. Soak right into here. Beautiful. Okay. So make sure you rub this roast really nice. Just don't put it on top. You're rubbing this in. Tomorrow we'll transfer this into a roasting pan with a bed of onions on a rack. So really it is, again, I said it before, I'm going to say it again more, emphasize it. It's important to actually rub this in. Do a nice massaging action. Yeah. So let's say we have this roast that's 9 pounds, okay? It's going to serve 5 or 6 people. You know, 2 pounds. Actually, I said 1.5 to 2 pounds, 5 to 6 people, right? So you're going to say, well, geez, I have 10 people, or I have 9 people, 8 people, 12 people. What do I do? Do I buy a bigger roast? And you buy a roast double this size? Here's a tip. Buy 2 roasts this size and serve 10 people. Because one roast, you could roast it a little bit longer and maybe make it medium to medium rare. The second roast, you can roast it for a little bit less and make it medium rare to rare. And then you're going to have 4 end cuts, no fights. Or less fights, I should say.
Yeah, you should say that what we have to do is we have to take the end cut and cut it into smaller pieces, so everybody can just take some pieces. No one person can.
That's right, you just said it. Last thing I do before I wrap this roast and put it in the fridge is I gather anything on the bottom of the pan, okay, and then put the roast in its position, upside, and I want to put this crust on top. And make sure that I get a nice even spread of the marinade. Next thing I'm going to do is wrap this up, ready for the fridge. Okay, and this makes it airtight, so this heavy garlic herb flavor doesn't penetrate your entire fridge. We're ready to go, overnight in the fridge, and let's roast this baby tomorrow.
Perfect.
Don't skip your overnight marinade. It makes a huge difference in flavor. Hi everyone, it's the next day for our prime rib roast. We've had this marinating overnight. I showed you how to rub it. So on the day of the roast, the first thing you're gonna do is take your prime rib out, let it set for 1 to 2 hours, preheat your oven. Now, don't let that prime rib set out too long, because especially if you want a rare roast, because if you let that prime rib warm up, it's gonna cook a lot faster. All right, we're gonna uncover this roast. Looks and smells beautiful. And then we're going to cut our onions for the pan, place this beauty on the rack, and put it into a 450-degree oven, which is right now is preheating. Okay, so we're gonna cut our onions, and what we're gonna do is use this as a base to the pan.
I don't really eat these onions, it's just for flavor.
Yeah, it's for flavor. It's for flavor. Because the aroma of the onions while it's roasting comes up. So the roasting pan I use a simple sheet pan. I like to use a rack. Keeps the roast suspended above so it's not sitting directly on the pan. Now what this rack does is it also allows the rendered fat to sit underneath the pan so that the roast is not sitting in the fat. The other thing is that during roasting time, the fat is going to start smoking. You're going to add boiling water, or at least hot water, boiling is best, so that the grease is floating on the water and doesn't smoke. And it also gives a little bit of moisture during your roast. So we're ready to put the roast on the pan. Look how nice that is. I'm going to take any of this good stuff here that fell off, put it on. It's ready for the oven. Let's talk roasting time. So what we wanted to do was provide you a recipe for per pound roasting time, because everybody has a different size roast. For example, today we have a 9-pound roast, 15 minutes per pound. 9 times 15 is 135. 135 minutes. We roasted it at 450 degrees for 60 minutes, which leaves 75 minutes at 350. Simple as that. So don't get confused when you read the recipe. For total roasting time, remember you have to deduct the high temperature time and then leave the rest of the time remaining for the low roasting temperature time. You got it? Now let's say you have a smaller roast and you're only roasting at high temperature, 450 degrees, for a total of 40 minutes. That's 20 minutes, rotate 20 minutes. So that's a total of 40 minutes. You're going to deduct that 40 minutes from the total roasting time, whatever size roast you have times 15, number of pounds times 15. And then the remaining time is at the lower temperature, 350. So how do you know when your prime rib roast is done? You use an instant read thermometer. Basically, the guidelines are 125 for medium rare, 120 for rare, and if you like it super rare, 115 degrees Fahrenheit, of course this is, right? We always use this Thermapen instant read thermometer. It gives a reading within 1 second. You stick it in, and it's good. If you have a fancy thermometer, you want to stick it in while it's roasting, you can do that too, but I kind of like this, okay? And this is what we use. The link is down in the description. Now, with those temperatures in mind, you have to remember that your rib roast is going to rest, okay, for at least 20 minutes after you take it out of the oven. Remember that once you take it out of the oven, the roast is almost done. It's already at a high temperature. It will continue to cook. So you want to actually take 5 to 7 degrees off of those target temperatures. So if I'm cooking For medium rare, 125, minus 7 degrees, I probably want to take it out at like 118, something like that, okay? And then when I take it out, let it set and rest, because all the juices have to redistribute, so you don't have all your juices run over when you cut it, right? So you let it rest, and during that time, it'll come up and keep cooking 5 to 7 degrees. So what you don't want to happen is measure it. I got it medium rare, 125, and then you take it out, let it rest, and all of a sudden you got a medium roast, right? Some people like it medium. What are you gonna say? What are you gonna like shame those people?
Yes.
I mean, like my boss, the Holiday Inn boss used to say, anybody who eats a well-done prime rib is crazy.
They are crazy.
They're right. When you take the temperature, you do want to take it right in the middle, because the middle of the roast is going to be the coolest, and then everything else is going to be slightly higher, right? So this concept of cooking at a high temperature and low temperature to finish makes an even cook on the whole roast. But even then, your end cuts are definitely going to be done, more than inside, and you're going to have a little bit of variation. So keep that in mind. And that way, I know I have a piece, one or two at least pieces here that are rare. For my son-in-law, for example. For me, Sarah and Caitlin, they like the medium rare, so we got those pieces. And for Judy and her mom, she likes a little bit more well cooked, so they're going to nab the outside pieces or even the end cut. There you go. That's how you satisfy everybody. So it's ready for the oven. Walk it to the oven. 450 degrees. Pop this baby in and set your timer.
And our prime rib eaters have arrived. Prime rib eater in training. Sarah's excited because she didn't have to do anything for this prime rib, but she gets to eat.
Okay, it's been a half an hour. We're gonna turn this roast 180 degrees. Look at that. It's very nice. Onions are starting to scorch a little bit. We're starting to get a little bit of grease on there, so half a cup hot water. There you go. I'm looking at that, how much hot water I got, and I think I need more.
Yeah, pan's a little irregular too.
All right, there you go. Another 30 minutes. It's an hour total, and I'm gonna turn this roast again and turn the temperature down to 350. Now you see this? This looks like it's a nice brown color, so I'm gonna get a tent ready, a foil tent ready, and get ready to go. And also, this is where the oil is starting to render now. So I'm gonna put another half cup of water in there. Top of our roast is starting to get a little scorched, so we're gonna be preemptive about it and tent it. And here's how you do it. You just take this carefully, and you do that. That's all you do. So I'm turning this temperature down to 350. And from here on in, you check it every 30 minutes. Don't let it sleep. You might burn it, or you might overcook it.
Don't let it sleep, you don't sleep.
Right. So during the high temperature roast, if the roast starts to get really brown and dark, it's okay to tent it. And you could tent it at any time. After the high temperature roast, after, 30 minutes, 1 hour into the lower temperature roast, you see it starting to get scorched, put a little light foil over it, and that'll protect it from burning.
And you just leave it on until it's done.
Right, you just leave it on until it's done. Okay. We've gone through our 60 minutes of high roast, and now it's been 60 minutes for a total of 120 minutes. So technically it has 15 more minutes to go. Let's check it. So I'm gonna, see that? It's 90 some degrees, the instant read thermometer. I'm gonna stick it in for a second. And it looks like 105. Okay, so it needs a little bit more time. So 105, technically, if I was to add 7 degrees, it would be 112. That's super rare. And today, we're shooting for medium rare, according to who's eating today. I have actually been adding water every 30 minutes or so whenever this dries out. I don't want to put too much water. I want to start with a really thick pool of water because I didn't really want the thing to steam, but I don't want the pan to dry out, and I want to keep the oven moist because we want a moist roast. So about every 30 minutes or whenever it dries out for your oven. All right, it's been 135 minutes. That's 15 minutes per pound for a 9-pound roast. That includes that initial 60 minutes of high temperature. So let's check it. Take this out. We're shooting for medium rare here. We're gonna put it in there now. 117, which is -7, which is 125. That's exactly what we want for medium rare. I'm taking this roast out. And we're gonna let it rest. And we're gonna let this roast rest. Still tented to keep it warm. Gonna rest for 20 minutes. Okay, so the roast is done. It has been resting for a good 20 minutes, give or take, maybe even a little bit longer. So we're gonna cut it. I use 2 forks, so I'm gonna put this up on the cutting board. And look at that beautiful roast. The roast is a little bit scorched on top, a little bit. It's okay, don't worry about that. It's mostly just fat. You can scrape it off. And if you look at this pan, it's pretty scorched. That's okay, because you're really not gonna eat this. I probably should have put a heavy duty foil on it here for easy clean. I usually do that, but I didn't do that this time. But you know, it's okay. You're not gonna eat any of this, and the onions have done their job. So let's cut this roast. You have to decide if you're gonna cut this end cut for someone who wants a small piece or a large piece. Because if you're gonna want a large piece, I'm gonna cut it with the bone. If I want a small piece, I might just cut this part of the bone off and just cut a small piece. But right now, I'm gonna cut a big piece and worry about it later. Oh yeah. Okay, this is a honking piece of meat. Look how nice that is. It's cooked throughout, it's nice and juicy, and I'm pretty sure behind this is gonna be medium rare. But this is what it looks like, and I am gonna eat this little cat piece. That was delicious. And you know what, this stray cap over here, you know, doesn't look good when you serve it, so I'm just gonna dispose of it. So good. Super salty. Don't get me wrong, it's super salty, but it's awesome. Look at this end cut. This end cut is like a medium end cut. Now, if Judy's mom or Judy, somebody who likes it, says, hey, that's even too raw for me, it's a pretty thick one. So if I cut it here, in fact, let me do that. Look at that, it's gorgeous. I'm gonna just sort of shave this piece off. And then maybe this is a better serving size.
It is a salty piece.
It's a very salty piece, but it's heavenly. And somebody's gonna fight over the bone. And look at this. First of all, look how beautiful that is on that side. And look at that. That is like a medium piece. This is a little bit more done. And this, oh, look at that juice. And look at that, gorgeous. And that's how it's done, the perfect prime rib roast. So if you enjoyed this video, give us a like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, and give us a visit at thewalksoflife.com. All right, while it's hot, come and get some pieces.
Oh, I'll take a nugget.
Wait, what?
Say it again.
Fortify your spirits.
Oh my god, that's good. That's so good. Excuse me.
Focus, camera.
Oh man, that's good.
Forget it.
You okay? Here, let's try that. Oh, okay, you did cut into this. Did everyone try a piece of the middle?
We're turning.
Why not? Why not? This is the time where it's gonna really be good.
It's so good.